Hello and welcome to the Carolina Snowflakes podcast, where two Southerners come to terms with their liberal snowflake tendencies. We're your hosts. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jason. And we're here with episode number 10 of the Carolina Snowflakes podcast. You might call it a decasode.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-bunch.
And this week we're going to be talking about the Incel MGTOW Extravaganza. And if you're not familiar with any of those words or don't know what any of those words besides extravaganza means, I'm pretty jealous of you because you're about to learn a lot of crazy shit that it's going to blow your mind.
Buckle up.
Yeah, it's real, it's crazy, and this is the world that we live in. So the two words that we use that people might not know are incel, that's I-N-C-E-L, and MGTOW, that's M-G-T-O-W. And I think we should start off just explaining what those words are. So incel is involuntary celibate, and that comes from Reddit. Many moons ago, there was a girl, actually, who started a forum, or a subreddit.
No, this was long before Reddit.
Oh, actually, it was before Reddit?
Yeah, this was 1993.
Oh, okay.
She's a college student.
Yeah.
And she started a website around the premise of an incel. Mm-hmm. And her goal was to create a place for people to visit and gather online who were feeling lonely.
Yeah.
It was a way of saying, hey, all you people out there, you're not alone. Loneliness is normal. Let's get together. It was a positive kind of place.
Right. Like if you're not having sex, but you want to be.
Yeah.
Then this is the place for you.
Yeah. And it wasn't like a dating app.
Right.
It was just a place to gather and be like, yeah, it sucks feeling lonely. Glad to have some friends.
Well, that evolved into something much darker.
I would say it devolved.
Yeah, and it turned into a one of the worst places on the internet. And that's where our other term's going to come in. So the other term we said is MGTOW, or short for men going their own way. Mm-hmm. And to give you an idea of what men going their own way would mean, it's an anti-feminist, misogynist, mostly online community advocating for men to separate themselves from women in society, which they believe has been destroyed by feminism. The community is part of the manosphere. Yeah, I know. It's hard to take this shit seriously. The manosphere, a collection of anti-feminist websites and online communities that also include the men's right movement, incels, and pickup artists.
Right, because those groups all kind of intertwine to a degree.
So I think when she was originally creating the incel forums, that was not at all where she saw these things ending up.
No, and so in the late 90s, she had kind of moved on and she handed over rights to the website.
Right.
And really was just like, I'm kind of done with this. Whatever people want to do, have at it, thinking that it was going to continue to be something good or that it would just sort of fizzle out. Well, it did neither. It did not turn good.
Yeah.
Nor did it fizzle out. It actually got taken over.
Yes.
And turned to a much more negative, sinister.
Yes. The trolls turned it into a troll house.
And then that's where it ended up on Reddit.
Mm-hmm. And it merged with this community of the men's rights and the MGTOW.
MRAs, the MGTOWs.
And a good way to sort of talk about them is that men in the MGTOW community gather online in communities including the subreddit r/MGTOW and smaller auxiliary subreddits, and the MGTOW forum, an independent website. The Reddit's MGTOW was created in 2011, and the forum merged in 2014. Following Reddit's 2017 ban of a large incel subreddit, MGTOW was briefly the largest and most active manosphere subreddit.
Manosphere? That's like the fun. I can't.
Oh, yeah. Reddit quarantined the MGTOW subreddit in January of 2020. So this year, Reddit quarantined MGTOW. And that means you can't get to it without agreeing to see offensive content, because it's going to be.
Right. And I think the reason that the subreddit for incels got shut down was because it had gotten so vile and so gross and graphic towards women.
Yes.
That I think Reddit was like, we can't be liable for this.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
I think some violent acts began happening.
That was where I was going next.
Okay.
So these people have moved over time. where their home has been. And that's kind of what I was trying to illustrate, is that it started off as kind of innocent, and then it got trolly in the 90s, and then it became a Reddit in the 2010s, and then it got shut down, and then they've now moved to a different website. And during that whole time, the reason they've had to move is because a lot of people in the communities have committed horrible acts of violence against people.
Yeah. And I think that's also around the same time that the terms started to become more known.
Right. That's when you started to see the
words
in the news.
When the evening news, the anchor is sitting there and starts talking about a young man who identified as an incel just ran over people with his car. You're like, a what? An incel?
Right.
Only to then learn that, this term has been around for quite a while.
Yeah, and so because of all that pushback,
we just didn't know about it.
They've moved around, and I wanted to do sort of a Jane Goodall style deep dive into these people. And because, as I just said, like, they've had to move around quite a bit, I had to go to a different website to find where they are now. Their forms at MGTOW.com are still there, but they're that's not their natural habitat. That's the face they want to put on.
Right. That's like the lobby.
Yeah.
But what really happens is elsewhere.
Yeah, and one of the places that a lot of them are still is 4chan.
Okay.
Which is a website that you can post anonymously, and that's pretty much all you need to know. It's a simple image board where you can post anything you want anonymously. It started off as an anime forum where people just talked about anime.
Oh.
But because you can post just about anything and you can do it anonymously, it devolved into a internet trash hole where all the worst people are.
Now, is 4chan, is that something that you get to? Is that like the dark web?
No, it's just, that's the funny thing. It's just on the regular internet. 4chan's still up.
Really?
Yeah. You can just go there.
Oh, okay.
But I wouldn't recommend it.
Why?
Because it's horrible. It's the worst place you could ever go. It's like, I don't even know. I guess like, the only place I could think of that seems that bad would be like Syria. It's like the Syria of the internet. Like, it's just horrible.
Yeah, okay. Is it like a forum?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is that I wanted to see these people, and so this is where I decided to go.
So you Jane Goodall'd it. You put your hair back in a ponytail, put on your khakis, and you went in to study these incels in their natural environment.
Right, and so if you understand Reddit or you understand 4chan or what these things are, they're forums where you can post and people can reply and you can post images, and that's pretty much what they are.
Now, is 4chan, is it just all that? Is it all incel?
No, that's actually a good point. There's still tons of people on there that just talk about anime. There is a ridiculous amount of porn. I mean, porn pops up the second you go to the website, so just to warn anybody, this is NSFW as could be. Don't ever...
So if you're just like, I'm going to take my lunch break real quick and go look at some 4chan, you better be prepared to see some tits and ass.
Yeah, just blatant porn.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just going to be there, so there's that. Because it pays the bills, I think. Is the reason.
Oh, so it's like advertising on the site.
And they're appealing to the sort of lowest common denominator, so porn will do. Some of the more controversial boards are the ones that they actually have them labeled under NSFW because technically some of their other forums are moderated to be safe, kind of like Reddit.
Who moderates them?
The community.
Oh, okay. Like Reddit does, sort of.
Very much like Reddit does, except that their rules are way less strict, and they have categories. They used to have a section that was called /B, or just the random board, where you could post anything. That got shut down because there was too much child porn and things like that, which is pretty much the only thing they won't let you put on there.
Yeah, because didn't that turn into like a thing at one point where 4chan was getting cracked down for child pornography
And that's the only thing that...
And I think like the FBI or something
and it switched owners. Essentially, they will only turn you into the police if you post child porn. Anything else is pretty much fair game.
But they talk about some really disturbing things.
It's really horrible. And so the politically incorrect former /poll, POL, is where you're going to get all your Trumpers. and they just hate the media, or they're those people.
Now, is that also the QAnon?
Yes, that's they are way into that there. Yes.
So QAnon's on the 4chan.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of where it started, and at least 4chan was the thing that pushed QAnon into the mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then the specific part of 4chan that I went to and tried to immerse myself in, because I can't deal with all of it, and some of it's a bunch of anime that I don't even understand. But there's one that's called Robot 9000 or R9K.
Okay.
That one has an interesting origin. So surprisingly enough, the board, otherwise known as Robot 9000, was originally conceived as a way to increase the quality of messages on the wildly popular webcomic that was called XKCD, which doesn't have anything to do with anything. But the point is that was the first forum where he came up with the idea that you couldn't post the same reply more than once. So you couldn't spam it. Anybody can post anything completely anonymously, but there's no spam because everything has to be original.
Okay.
Which was a new concept for the time. And at the time, they thought they were improving the quality of the internet. Well, that's not what happened.
Is that a forum on 4chan?
Yeah, it's one of the sub forums on 4chan.
Okay.
And it was originally this like fan club for this anime, and they had the wild idea to make it so that you couldn't post the same comment more than once.
Okay.
And that idea took off because it forced people to be creative, which meant they could say whatever they wanted. And it sort of turned everything into like a ratio war, if you understand how that works on Twitter, where if you can get attention, it rewards that because it puts your posts at the top and you have the most replies.
Well, what does this have to do with incels?
Well, that's what I was getting to. So when they needed somewhere to go, it just so happened that this forum was a place where it had already degraded into being such a shit show that it had nothing to do with the comic or anything anymore. It was just a troll hangout.
Okay.
And so when the Reddit got shut down, and when the MGTOW Reddit got shut down, and when some of their other places got shut down, that's sort of where a lot of them just sort of landed, and they're still there.
Okay, so the name of the forum that they're all living in doesn't even have... It's not like incels here with flashing lights pointing.
No, that's part of it. That's part of the reason I think it hasn't gotten shut down, is because it's not...
It's not obvious.
Yeah.
So they're hanging out in this forum online that had originally been a place for some kind of anime fan club.
Yeah.
And they have nothing to do with that anime.
Right.
And the name of the place doesn't even say incels go here. So they probably, in a way, feel exclusive if they know that they're supposed to, you know what I mean? They know that that's where they live.
And I am assuming the average person doesn't know these things.
I would have no idea. How did you know that? Did you just know it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm familiar with all these things. This is a subject that's always been really interesting to me because at one point, these people were my peers.
Right.
And I find their logic and their thinking so crazy, and it's so far from how I think that it's immensely fascinating. Like, I do not at all understand how they get where they get.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting.
It's kind of like an internet people watching.
Yeah, or like Scientology, like how it's like how crazy these people are is intensely fascinating to me.
Yeah, and then you kind of wonder, well, how'd they get there? How'd they get that crazy, Tom Cruise?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I know. And so...
Okay. Because I would have no idea. Like, if I was to go to 4chan, first of all, I'd probably puke from all the porn. And then if I did make it past that, I wouldn't even know where to go to find the incels. Right. I'd be like, excuse me, hi, can you point me towards the misogyny group?
Right. Well, that's... Yeah, I found them. And there's some resources online. If you did enough Googling, you'd find it.
Okay.
It's a toxic place. It's a horrible place. Nobody should go there. It's all hatred. It's a lot of racism. I mean, there's no censorship whatsoever. I mean, they can say any word as much as they want.
It's not your Facebooks or anything where they have some parameters on what you can and can't say and hate speech. This place is just wide open.
Right.
You can say whatever you want, and it's anonymous, so no one really knows who you are.
Right. And as long as you don't post anything that's blatantly illegal, there's no consequences for what you say at all. So, they're there. It's pretty, they have their own basic language. So they use tons of acronyms. They have tons of names for everything. They have a term that I thought was interesting called a Tinderella, which is a outwardly attractive female on the Tinder dating application. So they call her a Tinderella. So they have like nicknames for everything.
Okay.
And they're also very proud of how much of losers they are. So I think part of the thing is that they call themselves robots. That's part of why it's called Robot 9000.
Right. I think they pretend or like to think that they don't have feelings.
Right.
And what they really have is a shit ton of self-loathing that comes out in the form of anger towards women in particular.
Definitely. Yeah, well, they have lots of words that they use to express their frustration about women, you know. Their anger towards women causes them to that self-loathing that you just talked about, and that sort of results in like them undercutting and hating on each other. So it becomes like, to try to toughen themselves up, I guess, they shit all over each other constantly.
Well, I think they also would not want to nurture or support each other in like a productive way because that is too female.
Right.
And that's a sign of weakness. So they not only hate themselves, they take out their hate on women and on each other and try to like insult, berate, and attack one another.
Right.
And they'll say things like, go kill yourself.
Right.
Loser.
Yes, a lot. There's a lot of suicide talk on there. They're not afraid of that at all. And they like the term NEET, N-E-E-T. I don't know if you've heard that term.
No.
It originally came from England, and it means not in education, employment, or training. Meaning you don't have a job, you don't want a job, you're not training for a job, you don't want to work. And they all consider themselves to be NEETs. So they don't want an education, they don't want a job, and they don't want to find one. Yeah.
That's interesting. I'd never heard that. Is that so that's all incels are like that?
Not all of them. That's a category but a lot of them take pride in their neatness and how much they are a NEET. And you'll see that as a mark of honor there.
Those are the ones that are the basement dwellers, the living in mom's basement. Because when I think of incel, I think of a young white male who lives in his mom's basement, spends all day and all night on his computer or playing video games, basically being useless, eating junk food, drinking Mountain Dews, and his mother taking care of him into like his 30s and beyond.
Yep.
I also think of neckbeards.
Yep.
I generally will call them neckbeards.
Yeah.
Which is the guys that obviously don't shave their beards and that grows down into their necks. And it just looks bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not all of them. Some of the MGTOW guys especially are very much on like becoming a businessman and becoming a success and not letting women hold you back.
Right. I guess that's where I was confused because I had not heard the term NEET before. Right. And so I was like, some of them want to be that identity.
Right. They do.
Weird.
And like being the biggest loser and piece of shit is like a badge of honor. It's a way that they show that they're real hardcore.
So they want to out-loser each other.
Yeah. And then no one cares. It's pretty funny if you really think about it. I mean, it results in some comedy.
Yeah, when they're trolling each other or insulting each other, I'm sure some of it's pretty funny.
I have a few typical posts, I guess you'd call them, from there. Just things that I thought sort of encapsulated the community. And I want to
hear this.
Yeah, so these are all from the Robot 9000 forum on 4chan. So here's one. IRL. That's in real life. My university is 60% conservative, but on Reddit, everyone who goes on my university subreddit is a liberal. What is it about Reddit that attracts liberals to it? We'll have an answer to that for this gentleman. It's that Reddit isn't a hellhole full of porn and racism. And
not like 4chan.
Right. That would be the answer. Not that I don't like porn, but I mean, it's not what I really want to see when I'm going to talk to my pals. You know,
like, hold on, I got to look at this boob over here.
Yeah, and like I don't want it in the middle of my screen while I'm trying to like craft a response to somebody's question or whatever. You know, like a forum. I want to engage people in a forum. It's not really just what I want dancing in the corner. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Another post that so I've been thinking about something recently. Would a liberal woman and feminist care if a conservative woman or a Trump-supporting woman gets abused or raped?
Yes, of course they would. Like, just because you're a certain political identity does not mean that you don't think, like, I'm a liberal. And if a Trump supporting woman or conservative woman got raped, I would want to help her.
Right. You'd be very upset,
Yes.
obviously. But, this person really wanted to know if that was the case.
It's like they're so dense. They're they're clueless to how people operate. And I think part of it's because they spend all day in the basement with their computers and their mamas feeding them pizza and Cheetos.
Yeah. Here's one that's a little bit longer, but I think it really illustrates, and I have 2 replies to it that really, after this, that'll be enough. You'll get the feel of what
Get the understanding of what an incel is all about.
So, at college, the last 2 years, I was in a regular group of students. I had a good relationship with everyone, or so this is what I thought. This summer, and I realized that even if I never argued or was in a conflict with anyone, no one actually likes me. They like each other's posts, pictures very actively on social media, but I'm always ignored by them. I didn't pay much attention to them when I went out last year after exams. But when there was a party I had access to, I invited everyone and genuinely wanted to hang out with everyone. A very few went. When I think about it, I was never really liked that much, even though I was nice and friendly with people, and some of them even hang out a few times outside of school and work. What am I doing wrong? Mostly talking about female communities as I am a girl. Always being left out feels like a curse, considering I always try to be neutral and I don't try to hurt anyone's feelings, help them out if I can. Is there a way to fix something in me so people don't ignore my existence? That's a pretty genuine question from an anonymous female.
Okay.
So here's a response. Fuck off, you bitch. You have zero reason to complain. If you are fat, lose weight. If you are ugly, learn how to do makeup. Fucking goddamn women are the fucking worst. Fuck you. So that's
okay. So she put that in a incel forum. Why?
Well, I don't think she's a really girl. A lot of these posts pretend to be from girls, but it's really guys, and they're kind of satirizing women.
Oh.
And I guarantee you that was probably written by a man to encourage that response from another man because they think it's funny.
To get them worked up and to have a place to...
If that was a real legit question from a woman, she put it in the wrong place.
To insult.
But I seriously doubt that.
Have a place to insult women.
That gives you the idea of what we're talking about. And then the next response said, you should just consider suicide.
Just kill yourself.
Yeah, so this is the kind of place that we're talking about. It's horrible. I hated being there. I don't really ever want to go back.
Really?
Yeah.
It wasn't for you, huh?
No, but I wanted to see it firsthand because I've heard these things.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm not going to go look at it.
No, it was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to go.
They're really horrible. And the point is, though, that these people actually have some power. The reason we're actually talking about this is that, like QAnon, these people that are this crazy have actual power in this world. And there are people that spend all day on 4chan that have positions of power.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm trying to say is important to realize. When you hear that somebody is part of one of these things, you need to realize that it is horrible. Because there is a convergence with the alt-right here. And that's where I was going to kind of tie things up at how horrible this really is.
Right. Yes. I think it's important to remember that, and I think I have a tendency to do this, which would be just dismiss these people.
Right.
Like not even really give them a second thought.
Yeah. Why would we be talking about them?
Because I don't engage with them. I don't care for them or what they view. And I don't particularly take their stances very seriously.
Me either.
But the problem with just dismissing and ignoring them is that you are doing a disservice because, as it turns out, although many of them are just loser trolls in their mom's basement, some of them actually have authority.
Mm-hmm.
They have real jobs.
Yep.
And they are in positions that can affect real change onto others. And that's where they start intermingling and crossing paths with all those other groups, like the alt-right, which is basically Nazis.
Right. And that was where I was going to kind of tie in MGTOW to this. So like the other manosphere communities, the MGTOW overlaps with the alt-right and white supremacist movements. It's been implicated of online harassment of women, and the Southern Poverty Law Center has considered MGTOW a male supremacist hate group, tracking it in their hate project since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that again, MGTOW is men going their own way.
Right. Those guys just want to, they are very angry at women, but they just want to leave them alone.
Yeah, they don't spend their time necessarily just rabidly barking at or towards women or the thought of women.
Not usually.
They see themselves as being superior
and just
to
want
women.
To ditch women.
And think that they should separate.
Yeah, which for me, for my money, would be fine because I mean, it's just less competition. That's cool for me.
Yeah, that's going to leave more ladies for you, babe.
If these guys weren't also intermingling with the alt-right and separatist militia movements who were causing violence.
Right. That's where things get not cool anymore or not funny anymore.
Right. And
is when real action, real violence happens.
And so what I wanted to say here that I think is very important is that the reason I looked at this horrible stuff was because if I know what their symbols and words are, I can see them. If somebody has a bumper sticker on their car that says whatever about QAnon, or a bumper sticker that has a symbol that I've seen on the MGTOW website, I know that guy's dangerous. I know who it is because they're out there in the world, and I guarantee you've seen this on a car or a person that was near you and didn't have any idea what it was. And that's scary, and it's important that we know. The same reason we need to know what a Klan robe is or a swastika is, we need to know what these guys' symbols are because they're dangerous.
One group right now that's relevant would be the Proud Boys.
Yes. Yes,
if you see the headline "Proud Boys coming to your neighborhood," you need to know that that's a group of misogynistic and racist males.
Yes, who are very angry and
they're really into fighting and physical altercations.
Yeah, and I think that that's the reason I wanted to talk about it. Although it's funny to laugh at these people because they're pathetic. It's funny
because I think, honestly, 9 out of 10 of them are losers.
Yeah.
Genuine. And they're not going to leave the basement to attack people or commit violence.
But one of them might have a job where they have authority over 5, 6, 7 women that work under them.
Right. And they might be in political positions.
Right.
Which is something that I think falls more with the Klan and your more extremist racists.
Yep.
They find outlet on places like 4chan.
Correct.
Because they can be anonymous and still propagate their racism and hold their positions of authority.
Yeah.
There are politicians and stuff that are in that underbelly.
Yeah. And they're all white men, in which I happen to be a white man, which sucks because I don't identify with these people at all.
Well, not all white men are bad guys
but
or
I just
members of incels or MGTOWs.
In the sense I realize that, I'm a denizen of the internet. I love the internet and I love being online, and I hate that there are these people that are quote unquote my peers in the sense that they are nearly my age and nearly similar interests.
What makes it interesting for me...
But I hate them.
What makes it interesting for me is thinking, if these people are your peers, they're around the same age as you, some of them you probably even grew up with and would know in person, what was different for them? What switched that little...
I don't know.
Light or whatever, in them to make them be the way they are versus the way you are?
I don't know. I don't know. I assume rejection, but there's no real way to...
But you've been rejected.
Yeah, I have. There's no real way to
we've all been rejected. We didn't turn it into hating another gender.
Yeah, I don't know how the exact psychology of how it happens, but it seems to be frequent, and the internet doesn't seem to be helping stop the spread of it.
No, the internet gives them a place where those thoughts and feelings can just fester. And they not only fester, they can spread because you find other like-minded people to talk with and to badmouth women. Before we started recording this episode, I went on my social media, and asked people, when you think of an incel, what comes to mind?
Interesting.
And rather than reading you each person's response, I can tell you that the majority of people all said very similar things. And it was misogyny, anger, almost all of them said anger.
Yeah.
These are angry males.
Yeah.
Lots of support of violence against women, bitterness, objectification, support of conspiracy theories, the patriarchy. One actually was Republicans and libertarians, victim violence, Toxic masculinity.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was said a few times too, which I found interesting.
Well, I mean, even if it's not just toxic masculinity, the just overall toxicity of the community is palpable. I mean, like, you feel bad when you're there, or at least I do.
And for some reason, I guess they're self-loathing. That's why they go there. They want to feel bad.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yes, exactly. I think that's it. I mean, they even specifically have, like, bad color schemes, and, like, I mean, it seems like a place that's meant to make you feel even shittier.
I know I've seen some of their cartoons that they do to make fun of themselves, where they'll have, like, you know, the guy with the real fat face, and it's like pencil drawing, and then he's got, like, acne and glasses and stringy greasy hair,
and they, like, that's their logo.
They're like, this is us. We're gross.
Yeah. In anything, like, there's this dark corner, and it's there, and it's on the internet, and
so do we need to
deal with
be
them.
Concerned with them?
I think so.
So what do you do? I mean, there's no real way to, like, you can't take them down.
Well, I think the best thing you could do is get together and make a podcast about it where you tell other people, holy shit, these people are scary.
That's a great idea.
I know.
Somebody should do that.
I know. That's all I got, though. I didn't really have any other ideas on how to deal with it.
Oh, well, I think that's a good start.
Hopefully I made an entertaining podcast about it.
You did.
I do have a few unnecessary 1-star reviews.
Unnecessary 1-star reviews.
Because, like with Incel and MGTOW, this is also part of internet culture.
Yeah.
And I have a couple.
I like the internet. You like the internet. We hang out there a lot.
So on a lighter side, and let's get away from those gross people for a second, let's talk about some 1-star reviews that seem completely unnecessary.
Okay, I'm ready.
So there was an $800 one of those inflatable hot tubs that you can put, like, outside your house.
Okay.
And Joan Cleaver left a 1-star review. It says, go to the Hyatt.
Go to the Hyatt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This spa was amazing for about 24 hours. We got naked and partied while the kids were gone for the weekend. Bear in mind, it took 3 days to heat up.
Joan, she's like, take your clothes off, Bobby. Get in the hot tub that we had to inflate.
Yes. A month after purchasing, the pump broke. We were sent a new one that came with no instructions and took a PhD to install it.
Oh.
3 months after the purchase, the spa no longer holds air and looks like my grandma's sagging tatas.
Wow.
Every morning we have a waterfall feature in the backyard that we never planned for. Save your money, go to the Hyatt, kiss the kids goodbye, and reclaim the space in your backyard that this monster took over.
Wow.
Yeah, Joan.
I like that. Joan, she's sassy.
She is sassy. Her and her naked husband are running around.
Looks like my grandma's tatas.
Yeah, I noticed there was a lot of, like, family nakedness in this comment.
Interesting, Joan.
Yeah, interesting for Joan. So
what are you into?
I mean, she spent $800, so I could see being upset.
She spent $800 on an inflatable hot tub that ended up looking like her grandma's tatas.
So if you had slightly less money than that, we'll say $9, and you wanted to buy a dog bowl, Larry Kennedy does not want you to buy this one. He gave it 1 star. Thin, lightweight bowl. I was very disappointed in the bowl. I had purchased a bowl months ago at Walmart for my dog, which I have been very happy with. I needed a second bowl, so I purchased what I thought was a very good bowl. Not so. It is very lightweight and made with thin material. My dog is a golden lab mix. The first day she started flipping it over and making a mess. The other bowl is smaller, but heavier, which my girl rarely turns over. When she does turn it over, it's to tell me she's finished eating and wanting water. If you want a lightweight, cheap bowl, then this is the bowl for you. I don't even think it can hold as much water as my original bowl. I have no doubt that she will start bending the bowl. I am returning it.
Thanks, Larry.
Larry,
you've got an odd relationship with your girl.
I know.
That's weird.
Hilariously, he was like, this bowl just is not as good as the one I had before.
This bowl is bigger, but it's thinner and lighter.
That cracks me up, man. That's hilarious.
She's going to turn it over while there's still water in it.
Yeah, he got all super specific. Over a $9 dog bowl. And if you didn't want to spend $9 and say you had $8 and you wanted to get a map of the United States, this Amazon customer wants you to not get this one. They say, it is 1 star, not durable.
What?
This product ripped very easily. I was very disappointed with the map. I had rips in it within the first few days of using it.
Okay, hold on. So it's a large map of the United States.
Yeah.
And this person is giving it 1 star because the paper is of poor quality and it tore.
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing with it?
That's my question.
I mean...
It says, I had rips that went the first few days of using it.
What were you using it? Were you navigating your personal balloon up into space and traveling the world? Like, what? You're sailing the 7 seas. Mm-hmm. What are you doing?
It says, I would recommend other maps that might cost a little more money. So I guess if you're going to spend money
Having a map as a decoration is pretty normal. Yeah. But you hang it on the wall and that's where it lives.
Yeah,
you don't use it.
This person used it for a few days, apparently, which is hilarious.
They must have gone on a trip.
Yeah, that one I really just...
And they were folding it to put in their glove box.
Yeah. That was a great review, and I just had to thank Amazon customer for that. I did not buy that map, by the way.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I think we should buy that map and use it for a few days.
Yeah, maybe we should.
And see what happens.
See how many holes get ripped in it.
Yes.
Who knows? Well, so that's this week's episode of the Carolina Snowflakes podcast. If you like what you heard, you can always find our website at
carolinasnowflakes.com.
Also, we have a Facebook page, which now has over 100 followers.
We've got fans.
Yeah.
Fans, y'all.
And that is at
facebook.com/Carolina Snowflakes.
And we would absolutely love to get an email. We haven't gotten any emails, but we're looking forward to getting yours. I'm sure you're composing it now. So if you want to send us an email, it is at
carolinasnowflakes@gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Thanks for listening. Bye.